All right, good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Town of Kingston Finance Committee for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026 at 6:02 p.m. We have 4 members in person as well as the assortment of visitors, as well as Derek Billnitzer online, for which reason we'll take a roll call. Michael Cowett here.
David Fuller here.
Marcia Meekins here.
Victoria Kelly here.
Derek Billnitzer here.
All right, all 5 members of Finance Committee are here in one form or another. My every meeting spiel here: Finance Committee, Capital Plan, Community Preservation Committee each have a vacancy, at least one. Any resident who wishes to volunteer, please email FinCom, FINCOM, @kingstonma.gov. At this time, do any members of the public wish to make any comments? Seeing none. Couple of quick logistical matters before we get started. Due to some conflicts, we will not be reviewing the budgets for animal control, the harbor master, the police department this evening. We are planning, I believe, to push those to our next meeting, which is on Thursday, March 26th, which is going to leave us the assessing and revaluation budgets as well as the fire budgets for tonight. We are also, as is sort of the way of things this time of year, building up a bit of a backlog of some things that have had to be delayed, for which reason, in discussions with the town administrator, it seems as though it would make sense for us to add at least one meeting for the first week in April. Do folks on the committee have April 9th as a viable date? Most likely, again, at 6:30 in here, if available.
I'm available.
Good, Derek's good, Vicky's nodding, Marcia.
I don't know,
Okay.
but I could probably do it remotely from wherever I will be.
Okay.
Did
All
you
right.
say 6:30? I'm sorry.
Yeah, 6:30. So we'll add that as our, hopefully, final meeting in the process for this fiscal cycle. Are there any other preliminary matters before we begin to speak with our guests? Alrighty, well, if not, then I would invite our guests from the assessing department to make their way over to the podium if they wish. If they're I'm working on it. If there is anything that they want to, anything
I
either of
spoke
them
to
wants.
regarding the assessing department. Nothing really stuck out to me as being necessary for additional review or comments. Overall, the department continues to maintain its work that it's doing. They also do have some additional assessing, evaluation, or assessments that need to be done now, just due to timing, which is reflected in the budgets as well. But just wanted to let you know I had reviewed it with the department and no concerns.
Much appreciated, Derek. Anything you want to add before the rest of the committee jumps in?
No, I just want to introduce myself. I don't know if I know everyone. I'm Maureen Clark, and I'm the principal assessor for the town of Kingston.
Thank you very much for being here with us this evening. David?
Maureen, just one question. So this department actually generates some revenue, which I always like.
It does, yes.
A little bit, right? And so,
Just like 46 million?
yeah. But, so the fees that you charge, there's some like fees, like in our pamphlet here, it talks like a butter list fees, $25. When is the last time the fees have been reviewed or increased?
They haven't been increased in probably 4 years.
Okay.
And that is the only fee that we have in the assessor's office, and that's when people want to do building or a subdivision or some public notice, so they have to notify the abutters. So we do that for them and provide labels.
Okay. And how is that?
But that could be looked at if that's something to bring the fees up.
Yeah, I mean, 4 years ago, we were in a much different place than we are today.
Right.
So, okay, noted. Appreciate it. That's my only question.
I can look at other towns and see what they're charging.
Yes,
Do
please.
that.
Vicki, Marcia, anything for the
Nope.
assessor?
Are we just looking at more in your budget?
Mhm.
Or are we looking at the reevaluation budget
We
at the
can
same
do-
time? Can we do?
This, I just do this one first and then the valuation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so I couldn't tell from your budget what your actual head count was. You say one full-time, maybe you could just describe it. like-
Two full-timers and one part-time.
Two full-time, and you say like part-time?
One part-time,
No benefits?
she does get benefits.
Okay.
Anything over 20 hours, it's 26 hours a week.
With benefits. And the two full-time are yourself, the full-time assessor, and
It's me and the administrative assessor.
administrative. So you're not part of the union, you're a non-union, you're a wage and personnel.
Correct.
And your other full-time employee is a wage and personnel, is that right?
Both of them are, yes.
Okay, they both are. Just trying to get that down. The other questions I had now, the software contract, is that for the tax maps? Or is that something different?
The software contract is, the one with provision is for the web hosting. All our information is up on the web and you can access through that website. And the second part of that is the GIS module. So I have in my office the vision appraisal software. And there's also a module that's built in that's GIS. So when I bring up a property, I can see the map of that property right on the card.
And that expense has remained pretty consistent, it looks like.
Right, that
That's the
expense is, that's on the budget, is
8684?
exactly what the bill is.
Okay. And like I said, it was the same from last year, it looks like. Is that correct?
It's similar, maybe a few dollars off. If I see, okay, last year.
I'm just looking at your budget.
Yep, okay, yep, it
It's
is.
exactly the same. And is that a contract, or we've got so many more years on it? or-
It's a yearly contract,
Oh,
we renew.
And it didn't increase this year?
No.
That's great. Okay, my other questions were, the only other I couldn't, travel, is that that's just to go to meetings, or is that can be local travel?
That can be local travel. It can be if there is a meeting that's far away and someone needs to stay over, but that doesn't happen too often.
I'm saying, but it's not within the town of Kingston, you're going.
Some of it is.
Oh, it is.
When I go out on inspections to do abatement inspections on new house, then my travel mileage would be in that.
You get a
It's
mileage
minimal.
reimbursement
Yeah, but it's
for that?
minimal, yes.
Okay. I have no other questions.
All set.
All righty. Derek, I know you met with her in advance, so I assume you're all good at this point?
No further questions.
All right, at this point, I would entertain a motion. I can make it if need be, I guess.
Derek?
Derek, you're my motion guy. Derek, you're my motion guy.
Sorry, I'm pulling it up really fast. If someone has it handy, they can make the motion. I gotta find the page.
Here, just for the sake of time, I'll move that the committee recommend approval of the Board of Assessors budget for fiscal '27 in the amount of $252,844.72.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Actually, we can do roll call.
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Aye. Vicky?
Aye.
Marcia?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Finance Committee votes favorable approval on the Board of Assessors budget in the amount of $252,844.72 by a vote of 5-0-0. Flipping the page to revaluation, if you wouldn't mind just starting us off for some of the newer folks with a quick explanation of what this is and why it's broken out from the other budget, that would be,
The revaluation,
I think you just have to be over there.
this revaluation that you're looking at is not the full revaluation, the 5-year. This is in the budget every year. And that is to do the inspections. We have ongoing inspections, all the building permit inspections, and also cyclical inspections that we are required to get into or try to visit every house every 10 years. And we are behind on that directive we have from the state.
Okay. Do we know about how far ballpark behind?
The ballpark for that is for the cyclical inspections. Over the next two years, we need to do close to 2,500, 3,000 inspections.
About 4 a day for 2 years. That seems like a big bit of a challenge, but appreciate it. All right. Derek, I assume you and Maureen went through this one as well?
Yes, just want to point out that this is actually lower than last year by 18%.
What kind of,
Go ahead. It's lower than last year because besides this, we have an article for the full revaluation, the 5-year revaluation, and some of the work that is in the full evaluation, I took out of this.
okay.
There was some overlapping, not much, but a little bit.
Okay, so this doesn't really represent a difference in the amount of work that's intended to be completed, it just sort of removing duplicates of a sort?
This revaluation is with the budget every year.
Yep.
It's less because we had to do a full revaluation.
Okay.
For example, what vision appraisal will charge me for a year to just do like a interim evaluation is $5,000.
Okay.
This year it's $69,000. And that entails, which is in this budget, but I can talk about the full revaluation if you want, which is not this particular budget.
Okay. My sense is that if that's a separate warrant article, we're a good ways from that part of the process, so I just as soon wait until we kind of have all that in front of us.
It's already been voted and approved.
Yeah, we voted that last year. They took the $100,000 from the overlay for an evaluation. So I have questions. I don't want to interrupt you.
Hey, go ahead.
Do you want to vote on this article and then get into the,
No, before we get into that, I am just so confused. I don't profess to be an expert in Massachusetts law regarding the frequency of reevaluation. But my understanding is that and I spent a whole day trying to find this out. You know, searching Mass General laws to find out where are the laws regarding, and apparently the commissioner, I don't know, revenue or somebody determines what the frequency has to be. Is that right?
that's correct. It
Okay.
used to be every 3 years, and
Now
a
it's,
little while back, they made it every 5 years.
but there's a requirement. Okay. Because you mentioned that every 10 years, something has to happen. And that we're behind on doing that.
Correct.
Correct. So let's just start with that. So there is a requirement that every 10 years, every town in the state has to do a reevaluation of all of the real estate in the town. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is it correct that we sometime in the past failed to do that?
So the 10-year cyclical is its own project itself, but they do look at where you're at during the revale. They look at it in other years as well.
Okay, I'm just trying to break it down in little, could you refer it to like a cyclical, like everybody, maybe I'm the only person in the room who doesn't understand what cyclical, am I the only person in the room that doesn't understand that there's a 10-year requirement for a total requirement, and then there are other requirements that have to be met for what you call cyclical requirements. Is that
Cyclical
right?
is basically, and we could call it ongoing, that we need to visit every house in the town at least once every 10 years.
Marsha, can I jump in for a
Yeah.
sec?
Just trying to figure this
What
out.
are from a kind of finance perspective, what is the impact, if any, to the town of only, say, getting, and maybe this isn't even the right way to think about it, but if we only get there once every 11 years, what happens?
They may give you some slack.
Okay.
In one town, they had to hire all consultants from all over to do the town because they would not approve their tax rate. This is a couple of
Okay.
years ago. Tax bills won't go out, so you won't have, they won't be due till May, and that revenue won't come in.
Okay.
But
Are there any
they'll-
financial fines for not having them done timely?
Financial,
Any fines from the state?
there are no fines,
Okay.
but not getting the tax bills out and not having them to until May is a significant consequence,
Right.
not having that tax.
But there's no
flow,
additional
cash flow. yeah.
fees or fines?
No.
Okay.
And they're not that strict that if you're pretty much there, they will give you leeway.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike, I appreciate that. Is 2027 the tax fiscal year, is fiscal year 2027 the year that we have to do a townwide reevaluation?
Yes,
Okay, so we can start out there. So this is the year. And is that, and if we don't get it done, is it a fiscal year or a calendar year? In a fiscal year 27, if we don't get it done.
it's in the fiscal year, so that will start July 1st, yeah, the fiscal year 27.
Okay, and if we don't get it done in the fiscal year 27, the consequences that you described in response to Michael's question would befall the town, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So, we set aside, at Fall Town Meeting, there was a warrant article that drew down on the overlay account $100,000 to do the 10-year townwide reevaluation. Is that correct?
The revaluation is 5 years, but yes, the article
Wait a minute, I'm
was.
talking about the 10-year mandatory one.
The reval is the mandatory 5 years, the cyclical is, which is ongoing. They look at that during the 5-year reval. Cyclical starts for
You
10
see,
years, it goes
cyclical
over.
is something that's just ongoing. We do
Always.
that all the time.
Correct.
And that is a choice. We're not required by any
We are
directive.
required to do it.
And I couldn't find a directive of the commissioner that said we had to do that, quite frankly. Is that directive because we failed to meet the 10-year townwide reevaluation at some time, and that's kind of an add-on punishment? I'm just trying to
No,
clarify.
we finished our 10-year when I got here, and fiscal '22 was the last reval, and we finished all the cyclical, but it's starting over again, and they're doing it a little bit different way.
Again, I don't want to take up everybody's time. I guess I'll, if I could, meet maybe independently with, because I'm just,
Absolutely.
it
Sure,
doesn't
that
make,
would be
what
fine.
you're saying to me, I don't understand. I frankly don't understand why we drew down $100,000 on the argument that we had to do a 10-year reevaluation in fiscal year '27, and that you wanted to get a jump on it to tie up the consultants early. And now I'm confused because you keep referring to it as a cyclical evaluation. or a-
Revaluation is every 5 years, and that's through the state. They have a part of it, a component of it, that they look to see that we are visiting every house every 10 years. We have a lot of mandates from the state in the assessor's office, and that's what we have to follow.
Yeah.
But
Do
if
you-
we,
Hey, Mark, sorry.
Intend to visit every house in the town of Kingston during FY '27?
no, it should be ongoing. We started it last year, but our person who was doing it had health problems and had to stop for a while.
Again, I'll talk to you separately. Thank you.
Yeah, Marcia, I certainly share some of the confusion about the exact ways in which this overlaps,
Makes
but
no
what I
sense.
think what I want to try and bring it back to is this. You are, I trust from having brought this forward, confident that that $42,000 in addition to the previous town meeting article suffices to do the things that you are legally required and intend to do. Right?
Yes, there's a couple other things in there. We need to get neighborhood maps, and I put it on there.
Okay.
Yes,
That's-
and I have a plan, and I had to write to the state and get approval, and how we're going to accomplish all this.
Okay.
If we're not perfectly there, we'll be okay, because I have a plan written up for them.
Okay.
But I think we'll make good progress, because I
Okay.
have someone on there right now doing the,
Okay.
and the companies will start, and they will, personal property vendor already came today and took all, they will go to every business in town, they will walk every street. And during these times, we usually pick up growth that will help
Right.
the town immensely, so.
I thought we only did personal property every 6 years, according to the commissioner.
Personal properties every,
6
it's a
years.
reval every 5 years.
Every 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh.
So if there's any other kind of direct questions to this, I share I certainly share the kind of haze here, but anything else directly for the assessor? All right.
Oh, can I have one question? The Board of Assessors is in charge of the town's overlay
Correct,
tax
yes.
account.
Yep.
And do you have any involvement in that at all? Or is that just the Board of Assessors in conjunction with the
Yeah,
town accountant that balances it?
Right, the Board of Assessors know what the overlay is, and that's an account we need for abatements and exemptions, and we need to keep enough in there. Like, for our exemptions, this year will be about $350,000 that we give out in exemptions to people, veterans, elderly, blind, stuff like that.
But we're reimbursed by the state for.
We are, but I don't.
Okay.
We're kind of drifting.
All right, I
beyond
just,
the scope here.
I just
think, a
asked
little
her.
bit.
I didn't go to
We are,
that.
Marcia, but I don't get the reimbursement back to my budget. It goes to the town.
It just goes to the general revenues,
Right.
correct? Yeah. Oh, no, I'm just asked
So
you
if
if
it
you had
comes out of
any.
overlay, we don't get the reimbursement back into overlay.
It doesn't, I understand that. But that money is in the overlay. The taxpayer, you set that aside because you expect that you're going to do that every year. And I'm not questioning that. You report the
Yeah.
amount that you
And then-
grant in the town report.
And if it ever comes that different, usually exemptions are pretty consistent, but if abatements, like we have a couple of large, big box now on there, and if you lose to them, you could lose some substantial money. But there may not be any abatements, and if the overlay does build up, then the town administrator, and in conjunction with the Board of Assessors, could look at it and see if some could be released.
Okay, that's great. It's good to know.
All right. Any other questions? I would entertain a motion.
I move the finance committee vote favorably for the reevaluation FY27 budget in the amount of $42,000 even.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute. Dave,
David,
Sorry.
Vicki,
Aye.
Marcia,
I'm going to abstain.
Derek,
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Finance Committee recommends favorable action on the revaluation budget for fiscal '27 in the amount of $42,000 by a vote of 401. Thank you very much. I think your glasses might be under your chair, so just don't step on them there. Would not be good. All right, sir. Chief Douglas. Next one is fire. That's a good ways in here. Facilities. It is 01220.
1220.
I believe we might, there's a very extensive breakout that the chief graciously provided us this evening. Okay. Chief, you're,
I also gave it to you as a handout tonight.
yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you all set?
Yeah, if you, is anything you kind of want to walk us through, then
Sure.
by all means.
If you don't mind indulging me for a minute or two. The packet I gave you tonight is pretty comprehensive. I think it goes through everything from an overview of our department through the individual personnel line items to the expenses or the expense line items that have been changed or increased. I did not go through every single expense line item and define it, simply the ones that were increased and why we did that. Further back in the packet is the annual report for 2025. I know a lot of you don't have access to that, obviously, until the town report comes out, but that's often some valuable information on accomplishments and goals that is helpful as you review the budget. Further back in the packet, and Derek, I apologize to you. I think you might not have this, but I'll make sure you get it emailed to you. The latest statistics for 2025 that make comparisons to previous years, trending, call volume and such. So all of that is there for you if you'd care to read it at your leisure, I guess. And if you have any questions, please feel free.
All right, Dave, you met with the chief
Yeah.
earlier. Is there any color you want to add before we?
Yeah, I met with the chief earlier. I was expecting a green beer, but he came hat in hand.
It's because you were squeezing me for money. You don't get green beer.
No, so if you look at this budget, there's kind of two key takeaways that I saw. So one is you're going to see a large increase in the training, and that's because we hired 4 firefighters, right, Chief?
A couple of years ago, we had.
A couple of years ago, 4 firefighters. So that training line is up from 50K to 125K. And then also, which I was unaware of, if you go down to the clothing and the gear, it's approximately $20,000 a new employee for gear. So those are really where your numbers are jumping. The other thing that I noticed was the recall line item. I was hopeful that with the increase in the staff, with the new hires, we could decrease overtime and recall. But the chief explained that there was several injuries this year, so that did not come to fruition. So you'll actually see for recall, he was budgeted 100K, and he's already at 73K for the year, and we still got 5 months to go. So those were the highlights. Everything else, like the chief said, is along the side and is pretty consistent with what we're seeing as far as increases in other budgets with software and other things.
Derek, Marcia, Vicky, anything that you would like to address to Chief Douglas?
Chief, picking up on David's point, we were able to increase your staffing, I think, and the optimism. We're a very optimistic town that's going to really reduce your recall line item. And as it turns out, that's caused by injuries, things you just
So a couple of
cannot
things, I think,
predict.
let me, if I can probably explain and answer the question before you ask it. Injuries is one small component of that. As you look through our statistics, you'll see a couple of things of note. One, the increased call volume. Increased call volume is what it is. The more calls, the more hours you commit to calls, the more people you commit to those hours to do the calls. So that alone was, I won't say significant, but it was a noticeable increase in call volume. The next thing that you'll notice amongst those statistics are the statistics on multiple calls. Multiple calls is what often causes callbacks. So if we're staffing at a 6-person shift, for example, which is our normal hope staffing, we kind of call it, if we had all of our people healthy and we were fully staffed, you'd be at 6 people a shift. That allows you to do, on average, 3 ambulance calls or 3 simultaneous calls. Remove one person from that mix, and you've got an odd number of people. So you do two people per call, typically, is, partners, that whole thought process. So oftentimes, when you're running one person light, you are doing 2 calls instead of 3 calls, and so on and so on. You can play with these statistics all day long if you'd like. But I think as you look at the stats, you'll see the call volume is up, the simultaneous calls are up, therefore the callback is up. Along with that, and to follow along with what Dave said, the injuries caused that short staffing, so this all kind of ties together as one big puzzle. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. On that note, do you foresee that your call volume is going to continue to increase?
Yes, and that's an excellent point, and a couple of reasons for that. One is we do see some new growth on the horizon. Some of it's commercial, certainly, but a large percentage of that, like I said, if you're looking long game on the horizon, is residential. The police chief and I have said many times, residential or additional people means additional calls. It's really that simple. So if we increase our population, we're going to simply increase our call volume. There's 2 places with the fire department that affects more graphically than others. One is medical, and the other is elderly. Elderly folks, we'll all get there, require a lot more emergency medical services than your average population. Medical facilities require a lot more ambulance traffic or medical attention, if you will, than the average population. So to increase either one of those, for example, if Wingate added 5 buildings with 160 people in each building, then of course you'd see a significant increase in ambulance calls. Along with that, you'd probably see a significant increase in ambulance revenue. Which is another thing that ties directly to staffing. If staffing is cut, you are giving away, on the business side, you're giving away calls to mutual aid. So when we try to keep staffing, or when we can keep staffing at 6, you enjoy, if you will, the revenue from that staffing.
And Chief, we just did an increase, right, on the rates?
About a little less than a year ago, yes. On our ambulance rates, we're looking at between 1.6 and 1.7 million in recovered revenue a year. We will participate in a program that allows us to recover some of the Medicare reimbursement that we don't get. For those of you who don't know, Medicare has to be billed at the going retail rate, quote-unquote retail rate. They pay you what they pay you. That's the federal government. It is what it is. There is a program out there to recover some of the write-off, which is the difference between the amount that you were paid from Medicare and the amount that you billed. So there is a program there, and we will participate in that to hopefully recover some of the write-off revenue.
The former town administrator was always cautioning us not to count on the ambulance revenue because it was kind of is it a cutthroat
I think
business?
it's very safe to say that given our call volume at this point, you can count on most of it. There is, this is my speculation, over $1.5 million, I think there's some flexibility depending on your call volume, but I think that's certainly a comfortable area.
Just another question, kind of following up on this. So your budget, I appreciate it if you, based upon what you know now and what you foresee in the future, the reasonable future, factoring in the training time, the recruitment time of bringing on a new officer. I mean, if you hadn't been directed to a level service budget, would you have added personnel?
This year, no.
No? When would you add personnel next year?
So what we tried to do, to be a little historic here, what we tried to do several years ago, and that's why we asked for the 4 people, is kind of forecast when you get to what call level will you need additional staff. So we're hovering right in the 3,100, 32, 3,300 call level right now. Once you hit 3,500, it will be, there's some formulas you can kind of play with, but it gives you an idea that at 3,500, you're going to need additional staff. You're going to run out of time and employees, and if you mix that whole thing up, you're going to start increasing response times. So around 3,500 calls, we're going to have a conversation about additional staff.
And we're hovering at around 3,300.
31, 32, 33, it floats back and forth depending if you have a storm or not. A storm, one good storm increases your calls 75 or 100, so it fluctuates.
Final question.
Sure.
Have you ever considered,
Retirement? Oh, sorry.
Probably more than one.
well, no, not retire. Have you ever considered like forming a regional fire district?
So there was conversation, it's funny you say that, back in the 80s, there was some conversation about a regional fire department, Plymouth County, and some other breakouts up towards the Cohasset, Scituate area was a conversation. But we live in New England, and New England is firmly entrenched in their kingdoms, so that got killed very quickly.
Thank you.
Of
Would you be willing to reconsider that now? In the age of...
I think you have to.
I do too.
Any regionalized services have to be considered, whether they come to fruition or not. I think we're at a point with the economy and with finance that you have to consider pretty much everything that you can. Where you end up when you consider it, that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, I think you have to consider it.
Would you be willing to be part of that conversation?
Oh, you have to be. You don't have a choice. If somebody brings up a conversation on regionalization for fire departments, you have to participate.
Okay. Has anybody brought that up to you?
Not lately. They
Would you
killed
be
it pretty-
willing to
They
bring
killed
that
it
up?
pretty well in the 80s,
Okay. I gotcha. Thank you very much, Chief.
of course.
All right. Derek or Vicky, anything for the chief?
Chief, and I apologize if you mentioned this, the dispatch is paid out of the police, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Derek, where's your question?
Well, that was his question.
No, his other question.
Oh, the other question,
That
Derek.
was the question.
Begins with a C,
Yes or
ends in an
no?
ut. So Chief,
There was an upward inflection on the end of that, it was a question, that's not a
No.
question.
So Chief, to be consistent, so if push comes to shove and there needs to be a cut somewhere, where are we looking?
Oh, that question, sorry.
Yes.
I'll do the
How
dirty work
quickly he
tonight, Derek.
forgets.
So there's a couple of places that we would have to take it before we took it from anywhere else. And like I was telling Mr. Fuller when we had our one-on-one, your expenses are basically what it costs you to keep the lights on, to keep the equipment maintained and so forth. You squeeze those as hard as you can, right down to the last penny. And then when you can't do that, you go to personnel. And where in personnel, you have to start going through, okay, is it training? Do we not recall? Do we leave the stations empty? You go down this whole list of bad choices, frankly, and you try to pick the best of the bad choices first. And that's really how you have to approach a reduction if that's the case. And if there is a significant reduction, you will see a significant change in service. That simply is what it is.
Like service back to like the 80s,
Like when I first started.
like when I was born.
So yeah, you had to throw that in. So back in the 80s, we ran 2 people per shift. So I worked for a bit of a chunk of my career was just 2 people. I started when we did 600 calls a year, back in the 1983, actually. And no, I wouldn't want to go back to 2 people.
600 calls a shift's a little ways from there, I would say.
600 calls a year we did in 1983, and we're doing 3133 this year.
All righty. Unless anyone else has anything else for Chief Douglas, I would
Yeah, one
entertain a
other
motion.
thing,
Oh.
I noticed, this year when I wanted to burn stuff, I need to pay for a permit. Are we seeing any meaningful income coming in that way?
Meaningful in the couple of $1,000 range, Derek.
I'll take it.
Yeah, as will I. It pays for the software, and I mean, if you look at it, it pays for a little more than the software. It helps with upkeep of the brush equipment and so forth. So I think it's worthwhile. In addition to that, the state really mandates that you track your folks that are burning. So to charge that minimal fee pays for the software to comply with the state, as well as gives us a little bit of extra money for maintenance of the brush equipment.
Isn't it a one-time only fee?
No, it's
No.
annual.
Oh, I pay it annually. I didn't know that.
Yep, so we get you every year.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah. All right, if we're all good, I would entertain a motion.
I move that the Finance Committee recommend favorable approval for the fire FY '27 budget in the amount of $4,433,282.99.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll have a roll call. David?
Aye.
Vicky?
Aye.
Marcia?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Finance Committee recommends favorable action on the fire department budget for fiscal year '27 in the amount of $4,433,282.99 by a vote of 5-0-0.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. So that concludes the, I guess, three, we had it combined into two lines, budgets that we were able to look at for tonight. I'm going to take this opportunity to rattle off some budgets for next time and see about if anybody wants to take a look at those. All right, so I have the three budgets associated with the treasurer collector, the three budgets associated with the chief of police, general operations, sealer of weights and measures. I know you'd asked to hold that last time. Are we going to be okay? It's a pretty minimal budget, as I recall.
It's even less now, too.
Yeah, we
Oh.
sent it down to Derek to slash it. He did his part.
The slasher.
All right, veteran services, and then the big one, or one of the big ones for next week, and I would regret to say that I would plan on a slightly longer meeting than we're probably going to end up with tonight, is going to be the schools as well, who asked to present on the 26th. We're also going to take a look, I guess, at IT and the budget for the office of the Board of Selectmen. So we do have the ability, if need be, to push. I'd like to make sure that we're able to primarily be discussing warrant articles and then anything that needs to be adjusted at that April 9th meeting. But as a preview of coming attractions, as it were, it looks like we've got water, wastewater, employee benefits, and liability property insurance slated for the 31st. So a lighter night that evening. Okay. Were there any budgets that anyone hoped to address under item 2 for follow-up from time constraints for last
Are we
time?
gonna do general operations?
I think I have that on next Thursday, just so we can get the specific wording onto the agenda. The calendar was such that, as you probably saw from email, to meet the posting requirements, we had to get that one posted during the day before we met last
Gotcha.
Thursday, so we were not obviously able to get a whole lot updated based on that. All right, I am not hearing a tremendous amount of interest in
You're talking about,
anything that any follow-up to previously voted budgets. Any, like, specific, under this, there is time for more general stuff, a couple agenda items down. Just any specific things concerns about for something we already voted.
well, I still have concerns about the Council on Aging.
Okay.
About, again,
Well, this is getting old, Marcia.
I know, but look, I mean.
I like the pun.
I qualify. Watch it, buddy, you're gonna be, you only have to be 60.
Okay.
Again, but I don't want to, again, I don't want to beat that dead horse unless we are trying to cut areas.
I have I got some comments from the Director of the Council on Aging that I will forward over.
Oh, that'd be great.
I would, though, unless you want to re-vote it for any reason, which I'd rather not do tonight.
No, we don't, not
Okay.
tonight, not
Okay.
tonight. But I just don't want to
yeah.
lose my
Yep,
opportunity.
I can follow up with you about that.
Thank you.
Okay, so that, I think, is gonna also take care of number 3, if I'm reading this correctly. Okay. Any updates from members who sit as representatives on other committees? Derek, anything for Wage and Personnel?
Wage and Personnel met yesterday evening, finished some updates to the Wage and Personnel bylaw as it relates to what's going to be presenting at town meeting. We also got another look at, or we got a look rather at the health insurance, or rather employee benefits line item. We're looking at a substantial increase there. Looks like Mayflower provided rates of roughly 10% higher. We're seeing a little bit less than that as far as the overall budget impact. Brief discussion in the group about just the non-sustainability of benefit rates like that. I don't think it comes as a surprise to everyone that we did not manage to solve the health insurance crisis in America.
Oh. But it does still turn out that 10 is greater than 2.5, right?
Exactly, and that was my point to the other members of the Wage and Personnel Committee, is that if we're saying that we're limited to a 2.5 for increased reasons, and then even with new growth, we up that up to 4.5, 5, it doesn't take a genius to realize that we're gonna eat our entire budget in benefits.
Anything from the capital plan?
Nothing from capital, we still don't have free cash numbers, so we don't know what we're working with.
Okay.
But we're lining things up, and when we get that number, we'll be able to make decisions.
All right.
David, do you know what the balance of your capital stabilization account is?
No, it's not in my head.
Okay. And the School Regionalization Committee, on which I serve, has not met since we last met. I don't exactly know what it would have, since it's been all of 4 days. Okay, so we have quite speedily reached near to the end of our time together this evening. David, anything that you want to bring up? I know, Vicky,
No, I have,
Derek, Marcia, I
Nothing from
seem
me.
to remember you
Oh,
mentioned.
I did want to ask the entire committee. I'm going to be meeting with the chief of police. I've done a deep dive on the harbor master, animal control, and the police budget. So do you guys have any questions about any of those budgets? And because then I could present them to the chief when I meet with him, rather than we'd be like down
Those
the-
are also, I think, as long as that's not something that is communicated to the entire group, I think it's well within bounds if folks think of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
I
send
know
it
that
to
I am very much doing this at a pretty much kind of meeting at a time pace, so I think it would be, I assume you're gonna look to do that sometime later this week?
Yes.
Or, okay,
Oh.
then in the next day or so, if folks want to send those over to Marcia, and just ideally don't copy the rest of us.
Right, yeah, feel
That
free to
would be-
send, email them to me,
Perfect.
just to move the thing along. And I do need to follow up, maybe Scott, you can help me. With regard to the harbor master, I know new regulations were approved by the Board of Selectmen, or maybe Carl can tell me,
Are you
on,
talking about the shellfish?
the moorings. I was wondering more about the
I
moorings.
don't believe we did the moorings.
didn't do any moorings?
No, we did the shellfish licenses.
But you did the
recently.
shellfish? Because
Yep.
that would be, he's in here, the shellfish gentleman. So I just don't know those revenues. I just would like it on the
It's
thing.
not much.
It's not hardly anything, okay.
But it'll be more, but not much.
It'll be
Slightly more than not
nothing.
much.
He
Everybody,
wanted it back to nothing,
everybody go
and I
have
think
some
it's like
oysters.
$10.
I know, it hasn't caught on yet. I get
So
you.
it's not much revenue.
All right. But I think the moorings, and I know that goes into the waterfront, but it goes back around to, remember the engine broke on the harbor master's boat, and I think we had to go to town meeting or
I think the
something.
chief will be able to address
Yeah.
that with you, though.
Again, but again, I understand the mooring fees go into this waterfront account.
Oh, yeah.
And I would think moorings are a highly prized thing.
It depends.
I looked at the schedule, it was really cheap, I thought.
Don't be messing with my mooring,
got a
Marcia. Do not mess with my mooring.
It's a good deal, isn't it,
There's a
Vicki?
waiting list, right?
It's a good deal.
It is a good deal, I
There you
agree.
go.
But
It's a very good
limited
deal.
access.
All right, Marcia, are you otherwise good for this evening? All right, we can take anything else as part of that feature of the agenda next time. Unless either the fire chief, our liaison from the Board of Selectmen, who I'm sure is terribly sorry not to be on this side of the dais this year, town administrator, anyone else? Hello to our future member, maybe, of the finance committee, who has joined us on screen over there.
Who's that? Oh, baby.
Yeah, this is my youngest.
Say
This is
hi.
why I'm here.
May I add that when we left last week, there were no streetlights on. And if you recall, Derek wanted to cut the streetlights, and he did.
If there's any shadowy figures with BB guns, we'll know what to look for.
When they went up last night, too.
You know what, if you guys knew what my aim was.
I
you
think
would
he has
realize
something
it's not
going on
me.
with those streetlights.
Should we get him one of those, like the thing from Harry Potter, the put-outer, where you just
Yeah.
flick the cigarette lighter and the light zooms into
We'll just
the...
switch to gas lamps
Canister?
out there.
All right, unless there's any other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. David?
Aye.
Vicky?
Aye.
Marcia?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
And I'm an aye at 6:54 PM. Have a great night.
Thank you, Michael.
Aye, aye, Captain.